Well, hello, my name is Marina Bajszar. This is my first Blab. I'm here mainly to just try out Blab because tomorrow I'm going to do a webinar here live and I haven't even tried it yet. I have only hopped on once for someone else and now I just realized that I have to hit record. So that was a good learning experience. And I also wanted to talk about the title of this Blab a little bit just to give you something. And maybe if someone hops on, we can talk about it a little bit. And that something is the title, which is Curiosity, the Bridge from Fear to Love. So I put it as a love tag and I put it as self-improvement, but really it's about a state of self-loving. And this is really dear to my heart. So I work with people in a therapeutic way. I'm not a licensed therapist or social worker or anything like that, but I do a lot of study also in the area of trauma. And most recently, I've been working with people who are trying to overcome addictions, but not in the 12-step capacity, not in the 12-step way. Not that there's anything I have against 12-step, but it's just not the way. And I found that the center that I used to work for and still have some work with, the Killaby Center for Recovery in California, they are the first primarily mindfulness-based addiction recovery program. And I was working with them for over 8 months. That's in California, and now I'm in Colorado. And I'm doing this work from home. I've also created a course now that is a mindfulness-based practice blended with a tapping practice, as if you heard of EFT and Fast EFT or other kind of EFT tapping, meridian tapping techniques or energy medicine, they call it. So my passion is very much about exploring our inner world and getting to know ourselves, making the unconscious parts of ourselves conscious, and being very loving with ourselves with that, because a lot of modalities nowadays are very much all about changing your life, changing your mind, fighting with the contents of your mind. And I used to be in that camp for a long time, and I'm no longer doing that anymore because it just doesn't work. Sugarcoating things, positive coding things, trying to change and make affirmations from negative to positive. Yes, you can rewrite things, but in my experience, it doesn't really work. What I found worked the most is actually facing our fears, facing our shadows, making what seems really scary and unconscious, and especially really feelings, making those conscious with a lot of compassion and self-love. So a lot of our fears are here because they're trying to protect us from prior experiences. And also they're here because they're trying to protect the belief system that we've built based on these fears, based on our prior experiences. So the fears are very valid, but often they're kind of built in really early in life, like the belief system based on what happened. And now we have this filter of how we see the world. And they're not really questioned. We don't question them very often. And our life can seem very limited and small if we're always operating from those fears. And we just assume that that is doing us good and keeping us safe. But sometimes when we want to start growing and changing, when we want to step out of our comfort zone, those fears get really loud. And then we let them dictate. We let them be a bigger voice. And then we miss out. We miss out on stuff we really want to do because we let that strong emotion and energy and fear run the show. And again, it was very valid at the time of why that was built in. But what I do and what my passion is to assist others as well in how to be with themselves in a loving way when those blocks, resistance, fears show up. And it's not about pushing through. It's not about willpower or any of that. It's not about doing it with gritting your teeth and bearing through things. It can work, but it also creates a lot of stress. And it's just not maybe the best way to go about it. There is a way to eat, tension will still happen, but there is a way to not like abuse ourselves even more to get life that we really want, kind of thing. the life we really want can really show up with ease if we look toward and love these shadow parts, love these parts of ourselves that are afraid, look at them in a new way. And I know I'm speaking kind of in a high level, not really detailed of how we do that, but I just wanted to cover this concept of curiosity and how that plays into all this. So if you think of a little child and how when they're in play, fully immersed, playing with a toy, or they're in their imagination and running around the yard, and they are really just fully in their play zone, there is a sense of safety. So you can really only play like that if all your other needs are met. And I know children who don't have all their needs met, they actually play. But I just mean in general in life, like if your basic needs, if you're like running away from a tiger, you're not going to be noticing, oh, look what a pretty leaf on the tree. Your whole system is in full, trying to protect yourself and save yourself from that tiger and trying to, survive. And the same thing with us psychologically too. If we're constantly under threat and we're constantly feeling that fear or panic, it's really hard to get curious and playful, which happens in a very, restful state. We're fed, we're rested, we're not in immediate danger. A natural sense of play for children shows up. This curiosity about the world, how things work. I mean, you see it in babies really easily, especially as they keep, they're first very close with their mothers and slowly start to venture out in the world, and then always coming back to mom for safety and then back in the world. Once they feel safe, they have their home base, they can start to explore and play and really interact with their world and build relationship to their world. And it's really interesting. I watched a dear friend of mine's baby who's like a year and a half old, and perfectly seeing this, and how when he's really distressed because mom just left, and he knows me well, but it still takes him a little time to adjust to, okay, now I'm with Marina, and Marina's safe. But so he can't, like, no matter what toy I show him, no matter what I'm doing, he can't connect with it at all. He's so upset about mom being gone. But as soon as he calms down and I realize, oh no, he's hungry too, so let me feed him and change him. Once he's all settled and comfortable, that natural play, that same toy I bring up, all of a sudden it is really interesting. And he wants to interact in his own way, and he starts directing and telling me what to do. So he's like really interacting and playing even with our roles. And I just really noticed that you can't be in that playful, curious state and be afraid at the same time. Now, occasionally he would remember, he'd look at the door and see, oh no, wait, mom's not here, fully back in his little state. And then I'd soothe him and comfort him and give him a toy. And then as he settles, he forgets about that, and now he's back in play. So that's, actually to see it in action. But within ourselves too, if we're applying this to outside life, how that works, and then we're applying it to like inner feelings and sensations in our bodies, it's the same thing. If I can get curious about that typical feeling, that knot in my stomach that shows up when a certain thing happens or when someone says something, if I can get curious about that feeling in my stomach, then all of a sudden I'm more in that space of witnessing it and wondering how it's here versus caught up in the content about why it showed up. And as soon as I just start to be with this feeling, let's say it's a knot in the stomach, and I'm just kind of becoming witness of it and getting curious about it, being sweet with it, not trying to push it away or change it or force it away. Now I'm in this curiosity, and actually that curiosity helps it relax, interestingly. And the whole situation, because I'm meeting myself really deeply, now I'm curious about my own experience in the heat of a moment. You can still do this. It's hard. It can be really hard to do in the middle. And I'm not advocating standing there being abused by somebody and just witness yourself. Always take care of your needs first. Like if you need to get away, whether it's emotional or physical abuse, you've got to take care of your absolute basic human rights needs first, of not being abused, not taking that. But I have noticed in my personal experience that as I actually had an abusive situation where someone was yelling at me and calling me names, and there wasn't an imminent threat other than just it didn't feel pleasant, I was able to drop into the feelings that showed up and get really just let myself feel them and notice that, wow, I'm really just at war with these feelings. Actually, that person, whatever they're saying to me, is causing this reaction in my body. And it's not really what they're saying to me that I'm reacting to. It's I'm trying to not feel this. And so as I get curious about it, and I did, and that's how I got curious, like noticing, like, wow, okay, this sucks. I don't like this. And then I asked some more, like, what sucks about it so bad? What is about this feeling I'm not okay with? And as soon as I did that, and that person was still yelling at me, I was able to just listen. And suddenly there was this detachment from the whole situation, but not detached as in running away. Still very much in touch with what I was feeling. And also recognizing that it was just this feeling that I'm so scared of. And since then, that person has not talked to me that way. It just kind of naturally happened where my life situation didn't let them into my life again. I didn't have to do much there. It just, the way they were talking just didn't happen anymore. And also they naturally exited my life. And I feel like that was like a lesson of, wow, can I let this feeling in? Not that I should advocate or allow people to talk to me that way. It actually helps me be very clear about my healthy boundaries there. But this sense of curiosity came very naturally, like a shift to self-love. So I wanted to just share that with you and also have my first blab here. Now I'm just going to tinker around, and therefore I'm going to stop the recording because it's just going to be me looking. I guess there's not much to tinker around. I don't even have to do that. There's how many people are here, which is none, just me. There is open seat if someone wants to drop in. There's a live chat, so I can test that. Testing live chat. Okay, that was easy. And then questions. I'm gonna, if you want to type Q in the chat, Q, question test. Okay, and that shows up there. And then I'm gonna answer it. And I'm gonna say, oh, and again, no. What did I do? Question test. And then I have to do, no, that didn't work. Okay, so I'm going to say Q question test. It shows up in the question section. And then, oh, I got it. Okay, it's not written. I have to talk and answer the question. Okay, got it. All right, so that's my first blab. If you do want to, if you watch this by any chance, whoever you are, welcome. I am not making that other blab public, although I have no idea how that works because it's a scheduled one and whether the rest of the public people will get to see it or not. I hope I can manage that. Yeah, so I guess that's it. And whoever I get to meet through this, it's awesome. Hello and thank you and welcome. All right, have a great day. It's a Monday, and I'll see you again on here sometime. Bye.